Welcome to Swarajya Direct Line, and today I'm joined by Siddharth sir, and we are going to have this interesting conversation regarding the Force report that has been doing rounds on Twitter, which has to some extent even been endorsed. I don't know what the report has, which is worth endorsing, but IRS Association has endorsed the report. So I would like to ask, Siddharth sir, so since he has been a veteran journalist who has been covering the financial sector, including the finance ministry, for quite some time. So, what are your thoughts on these, brilliant words of wisdom that are there in this report? And why do you think that people have responded the way they have, whether it's on Twitter or even otherwise, to this report?
Well, very clearly, Karan, and before I sort of launch into an answer, thank you to you and to everybody in the Swaraj team for this quick chat on something that can worry all of us because, as they say, death and taxes are inevitable. And I think in relation to the question, let me just set the context. The 43-page report, as you yourself would have seen, is Force 1.0. So I'm guessing the authors perhaps have plans for more versions. But I just hope that this remains something that is completely analytical and is not something that becomes a policy. Now, why do I say this? Uh, Even if we were to take a very balanced view of the fact that this report has made several suggestions, it's talked about expenditure rationalization, it's talked about GDP growth. So many parts of this report, in all fairness, do have an analytical framework. And many parts of this report are written, if you look at the educational background of many of the authors, they come with the economics and financial background. So good, good things there. But I think the outrage that all of us are seeing on Twitter, social media, comes from the fact that how could you even talk about a tax rate hike in COVID times? So I think that's where the point is being mixed. And one quick point that I want to add for all those who are tuning in to watch this: we have a history over the last 15 years now of an attempt to reform our direct tax framework. We have reformed the indirect tax side and come up with the goods and services tax, and that's a separate subject completely. And I think Force 1.0 must force the CBDT, the finance ministry, and the government to realize that because there is need to revamp our direct taxes framework, and because many parts of the direct taxes code or direct taxes framework currently are very old and not relevant with these times, do you get these ideas? So perhaps instead of Force 1.0, the CBDT chairman, the revenue secretary, and all other authorities might decide to push a direct taxes code finally, Karan.
No, I see your point, because there are these talks of this being just one of the reports being given by some select officials, and that this is not being considered as a policy option. So as we see those reports, probably it gives us a sense of hope that probably this might push the direct tax code. But what really worries me, and I want to pick your brains on this, since you mentioned that a lot of the authors come with an economics background. I never quite understood this, and honestly, I think viewers would also like to understand why is it that our tax officials think tax revenue and tax rate in a linear terms. I mean, we've discussed at length that tax rates have an impact on growth. You increase tax rate results in lower growth, and that your revenues depend on growth. And our entire history, we have experimented with high tax rates, which resulted in informalization and lower tax compliance. Uh, so, what really worries me is that even if these are young officials, why is it that they continue to romanticize with those old ideas, tax the rich more, fantasize around those ideas that have ensured that India penalizes wealth creation to the point that we don't really have wealth creation in this country?
Very good points, Karan, and you asked multiple questions. So let me try and answer that in two parts. But before I even attempt to answer your question, let me ask all our viewers to step back to last September. It does seem that we are now living in at a time when everything is being divided into before Corona and after Corona. But last September was when the government of India, and all credit due where it should be to the Prime Minister, to the Finance Minister, to the rest of the team of officers. After all, there is no other major developing country which in the last 6, 7, 8 months has done a steep corporate income, corporate tax rate cut. So that's the background. Therefore, many of the people who are outraging on Twitter must remember, and while I sympathize with their outrage, we must tell them once again that there's a difference between what the government of the day did just a few months ago versus a suggestion of a bunch of young bright officers. We can always question their output, but I don't think we should question their intent. However, you raised an important point about the framework, the system, or the thought process that has brought them here. And I think that's a fair point. All of these are our fellow Indians and good officers, bright guys who have qualified in the Indian Revenue Service. Not an easy exam to qualify, not an easy job to do. The problem is our government, various branches of our government, Karan, and I'm sure you have experience. I've spent pretty much 2 decades interacting with the government. Once you qualify and become part of this behemoth called the Government of India, you lose touch with reality. The government framework, the incentives and the disincentives in the government framework pretty much do not create an environment for, let's say, income tax officers in the current context to think in terms of the producing agents of the economy. They are not the factors who think in terms of output, surplus, reinvestment. Their framework and their entire schooling, if I may say, is primarily around the Income Tax Act, which we know has been layered every year. And I say this, and I can be corrected, but if we were to print every single amendment from the original Income Tax Act to the present day, I don't know how many million pages it will be. And, will it fill a basketball court? Will it fill half a stadium? I don't know that. So there is a huge problem in what our young officers are being taught in terms of their interface with industry. I think many parts of our economy have moved from scarcity to surpluses. But when it comes to the government and revenue, the mindset of deficit and plugging the deficit, and the most important thing, the target. This is the worst thing that we can do. Instead of being called the Indian Revenue Service, if it would be called the Indian Revenue Generating Service or the Revenue Facilitating Service, these people would work closely with private industry and make sure that that industry has ease of doing business to get many more revenues and share a part of that profit with the central exchequer. I think it's a big mindset question. And one last thing, I come back to this point. Over the last 15 years, and actually if I go back a little, the last 2 decades, we have seen four authorized versions of the direct tax code. We have seen the Shom committee reports. We have seen the Vijay Kelkar task force reports. We have seen reports prior to that. There are a dozen different reports, parts of which address the core problem of our tax administration, which is low compliance, high exemptions, and a very low tax base. I think we should, this Force 1.0 perhaps is one more signal to our authorities that we need to hurry up with the revamp of the direct taxes code, whatever it may be. Let's not throw it under the bus. We took a risk with the GST. Let's take a risk with the DTC.
I see your point, and since you mentioned DTC, I want to come back to another, thing which is very relevant, which is the budget tax proposals. Which did make one tiny step towards implementation of DTC by creating a lower, tax rate regime with minus the exemptions. So it, in a way, was trying to go towards that direction. Obviously, it was taking small steps, but that shift was becoming very apparent. Now, when we see that shift happening, just a couple of months back, and we see this report by certain young officials suggesting that, why don't we implement an inheritance tax or wealth tax? That does, probably give very mixed signals, to some extent, and confuses whether the tax department per se is well in line with the views of the government as far as taxation is concerned, and are these officials also in sync with
I
what the
think,
higher officials?
Karan, I want to interrupt you here because before you go on to another part, I think you have touched upon a very, very important point.
Hmm.
And I ask you this, and this is a question in return to you. In the last 6 years, let's use 2014 and the Narendra Modi administration as the cutoff, barring the September action, uh, do you think you have heard a comprehensive direct taxes vision and philosophy from this government? We have heard it on the GST front,
Yeah,
but have you heard a comprehensive 20-year framework on direct taxes?
not at the moment. I think not so far.
So that's why we come back to this point that it should not have even come to these young officers to talk about a wealth tax on net incomes above 5 crore. They should not have even thought about putting in print 40%.
Hmm.
In fact, I would go and say that if they were going to be very brave, they should have gone ahead and said, let us tax all those who are exempt so far. Let's even tax a part of the farm economy.
Yeah.
And before people jump on you and me, I'm not talking about taxing the small farmer with a land holding of less than 1 acre or
Hmm.
someone who is barely doing substances. I think, Karan, you and I know
Yeah.
that the architectures who claim agriculture tax income, we should go after them.
Yeah.
They are the holy cows, so to say, who need to be addressed. And unless I am mistaken, I did not in these 43 pages see a message as far as that is concerned. So you are totally right. When you put 40%, you are displaying regressive thinking,
Yeah.
howsoever good your intentions be.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's a very well put idea, that you mentioned, that if they had to be bold, why not be bold when it comes to taxing agricultural income and that side of the things. So, no, it's a fair point, but I keep coming back to this issue again and again, that uh, even before the budget, we also saw a lot of expert people talk about the need for wealth tax, and we see people even defend the LTCG, which you and I both know was brought in. STT was brought in because there was not, a sort of provision for LTCG, and now we have both LTCG and STT. So I keep coming back to this point again, that whether it's experts or tax officials, why is it that we keep revisiting these old ideas again and again and again?
Because primarily because we are still awaiting a articulation of a vision and a philosophy on the direct taxes side. We must give credit to this government that despite the infirmities that came up during the execution, ultimately this government will go down in history as the one who brought in GST.
Hmm.
And that is why the point that you make, uh, uh, mm, uh, it has to be a vision. And Karan, I just want to quickly, before you wrap up, I just want to tell you and our viewers that I'm just picking up from my sources just as we speak, that finance ministry, and these are sources
Hmm.
who are telling me this, that at the ministry level and at the board level, a view has been taken that this report has been found to be irresponsible, and explanation has been sought for misconduct. Now, this is source-based, and I will leave it to the authorities to judge whether this is good conduct or misconduct. But I would say that this, perhaps in some ways, we should also use this as an opportunity to generate a debate during these COVID times, that we cannot postpone our direct taxes reform forever.
Yeah.
Better sooner than later.
Oh, that's very brilliantly summed up, sir. Thank you so much for taking time out and for having this conversation.